Gildan Media, a division of Recorded Books, presents Business Intelligence for Dummies by Swain Scheps, narrated by Steve Marvel. Publisher's note: this audiobook has bonus material. Please contact whomever you purchased this audiobook from to request the material. Introduction. Let's get this joke out of the way right now. Business intelligence is indeed an oxymoron at many companies. You've worked for that company before, or maybe you work there now. That company is a boat on top of an ocean of data that they're unable to dip their cups into and drink. And because they're so out of tune with the data flowing through their systems, they base their decisions on gut feel rather than facts and history. The most common analysis tool is a spreadsheet. They take wild stabs in the dark at what the long-term trends look like for sales, or profit, or some other measurement. And speaking of measurement, they often measure the wrong things entirely. They look at numbers that have little or no relationship to the long-term success of the business. Welcome to Business Intelligence for Dummies, a book written for people in organizations that want to break the cycle of business stupidity. If you downloaded this audiobook, you've probably heard of BI, but aren't sure what it means. Sure, it's got the feel of another one of those techno buzzwords that will fade out of fashion in a few years. But BI is here to stay, and this book is for executives and managers dying to learn more about the technologies, tools, processes, and trends that make up business intelligence. It's for business people who need a way to derive business insights that are accurate, valuable, timely, and can be acted upon to positively influence the enterprise. Maybe you've heard talk of BI in the hallways and want to learn more about it. Maybe you've come to the realization that more and more jobs require some knowledge of BI. Maybe somebody gave you this book for Christmas and you don't have the heart to ask for a gift receipt. No matter how you came by it, you'll learn a lot by listening to it. There's a lot to know. Be aware that if you're looking into how to spy on the company next door, if you want to talk into a shoe phone at the office, or you're looking for advice on how to dig through dumpsters to find clues about your competition, you'll want to move on to another book. We're not talking about that kind of business intelligence. About this book. This is a business book. Sure, it's a book about technology, but it's not a highly technical book. It's not supposed to be. The whole idea is to make some fairly confusing topics accessible to the non-pocket protector set. If you're a Microsoft SQL Server administrator and you think this book is going to show you how to extend UDM with SSAS stored procedures, you're bound to be disappointed. But that's what's so great about this book. It separates out the eye-crossing, head-scratching technical jargon and puts important technological concepts into terms most business people with a modicum of technical knowledge can understand. How to use this book. If you don't know how to use a book, you're a long way from needing business intelligence, buddy. It's like other books. It's got a cover, chapters, words, and an extraordinarily handsome and well-regarded author. But I guess there are a few strategies that will suit you best depending on what you're looking to get out of Business Intelligence for Dummies. Consider these two pathways to BI enlightenment with this book. If you want to see a specific topic that's come up in conversation around the water cooler, or perhaps in a meeting, you can jump right to the chapter that covers it and start listening. For example, maybe there's been a lot of chatter about OLAP or dashboards in the office, and you've been nodding your head, acting like you know what those words mean. I'd advise you to move quickly to the chapters covering those topics before someone learns your secret. If your agenda has more to do with getting the big picture, and you want to see BI's origins and context before moving through the topics, that works too. The chapters are self-contained vehicles of knowledge, but they are ordered in such a way that one BI topic blends nicely into the next. On the other hand, if you start hearing something that puts you to sleep or makes you mad, by all means, write your congressman a strongly worded note, then skip ahead to the next chapter. Hey, you did it in high school when you had to read A Tale of Two Cities, so nothing's going to stop you from doing it here. I would not, however, advise that you skip ahead to the last few chapters to see how the story turns out. Although the end of the book is riveting and ties up a few loose ends, it's not really that kind of book. There are a few important related books that expand on some of the topics contained in this book. If you find the need for additional information, Data Warehousing for Dummies, Wiley, is a few years old but provides a solid foundation of knowledge for data integration topics. Then there are the product-specific books that touch on technical topics related to BI, like Mark Robinson's Microsoft SQL Server 2005 Reporting Services for Dummies. How this book is organized. The information presented in this book is arranged into 6 self-contained parts, each of which comprises several self-contained chapters. It's like one of those Russian dolls, except painted yellow and black and made out of paper instead of, well, whatever they make those dolls out of. For most of the book, you'll be able to consume a chapter whole. I do my best to tell you everything you need to know inside each chapter without forcing you to save places throughout the book with various fingers and ad hoc bookmarks. But I admit, on occasion I'll refer you to another area in the book because it's really important you understand where to get more information about a subject. But if you don't feel like being redirected, just say no to cross-referencing. Part 1. Introduction and Basics. These early chapters are a primer on business intelligence. They lay the BI groundwork and will keep you covered if you need a quick knowledge injection before you run to a meeting or an interview where the topic will come up. You'll see the one true definition of BI, at least according to me and a few thousand BI gurus. You'll also get to know BI's family tree, where it all began, and what related technologies you should get to know. You'll be especially pleased at the easy-going language and tone of these chapters. Not much bits and bytes talk is necessary because, as you'll see in Part 1, business intelligence is about business first, technology second. Part 2. Business Intelligence User Models. Unfortunately, you'll find out in Part 2 that a business intelligence environment doesn't just hum along quietly in the background like an air conditioner, spitting out business insights and cool air. BI joins powerful tools to the fingertips and eyeballs of people just like you who go to work every day and need to make better business decisions regardless of the scale or scope of those decisions. Each of the main user application classes gets its own chapter here, from basic reporting and querying up to newfangled technologies just now emerging into the marketplace. Part 3. The BI Life Cycle. More than anything, business intelligence is a process. It's about creating a culture that makes evidence-based rational decisions, that seeks out a clearer picture of its past and present. In this part, we'll talk about what makes that process work well inside organizations, how a business intelligence culture gets planned, hatched, and how it grows and develops over time. You'll see what substrate works best for BI to take hold and how to develop a sound business intelligence strategy. In the last chapter in this part, you'll get familiar with a BI roadmap which sets you up nicely for the next part. Continue on. Part 4. Implementing BI. This is how we do it. If you're a project manager or analyst of some kind, this part will warm the cockles of your heart. We're talking about building a sound project plan for your upcoming BI implementation and gathering and managing the functional and business requirements. If that sounds like any other IT project to you, you're half right. BI projects share characteristics with other big technology efforts, but BI has its own special set of challenges for a project team to face down, and we'll talk about them here. Designing and building a BI environment is no easy task, but following up your initial success with ongoing victories is even harder. Part 5. BI and Technology. This is a special topics part where we delve into areas that every budding BI guru should know about, but for the dabblers and dilettantes, they're on a need-to-know basis only. The BI universe tracks closely with that of data warehousing, and that topic gets covered in depth in this part of the book. It's also here that we start naming names, talking about who the big BI vendors are, what you should know about their products and services, and what they have to offer the marketplace. Part 6. The Part of Tens. If you've never gotten a book in the For Dummies series, this will be a nice surprise. If you have gotten another book in the series, this part will be like seeing an old friend again, one who doesn't owe you money, that is. The Part of Tens, as always, is a collection of interesting BI topics, challenges, and warnings broken out into 10 easy-to-digest chunks. There are 10 keys to BI success, 10 secrets to gathering good BI requirements, and the like. These chapters are a good chance to test your knowledge after you've heard the rest of the book, or a way to get a jolt of BI know-how if you haven't. Icons used in this book. You'll hear those familiar For Dummies icons, verbalized as phrases, to offer clues about the kind of material you're about to hear. Tip. The best advice in the book is listed after tip. If you're thinking about a foray into BI, you're going to need it. Remember. I can't quite recall what the remember icon means, but I think it has something to do with quickly revisiting an important BI concept. Don't forget to remember these things. Warning. If BI was easy, every company out there would have implemented it long ago. The warning icon is the equivalent to a flashing red light on your dashboard. Ignore it at your own peril. Technical stuff. Every now and then I'm forced into some techie banter to add some color and background to a topic. You should try to contemplate it one time, but don't get upset if it floats over your noggin at high altitude. Time to get down to business. Intelligence. If you feel the need for speed, getting up to speed on BI, that is, you're off to a good start, so let's light this candle. Now I'd like to take a moment before continuing. Just kidding. March onward. Start with the first sentence of Part 1, or select a random chapter and start listening to see if it makes the slightest bit of sense to you. I'll endorse whatever strategy you have in mind. Just have fun. Oh, what heights you'll hit. So on with the show. This is it. Drum roll. Part 1. Introduction and Basics. In this part, you've been running your lemonade stand for several years, and success has been an occasional visitor. This being the high-tech age, you've dutifully recorded business data of every kind since you started mixing sugar and water together, the daily sales, the employees who have come and gone, the customers who frequent your street corner, the supplies you buy once a week to mix your elixir. So how can you put all that information to work for you? Some of the data's on your laptop, some of it's on your desktop at home, and a little bit of it is on your handheld. It would be nice to be able to look into the past and find meaningful insights about what's made your lemonade stand successful in the past and what might make it more successful in the future. That might help make decisions easier. You need a business intelligence solution. The chapters in this part will show you what BI is, how it's related to other technology areas, and how it can work for lemonade stands just like yours. Chapter 1. Understanding Business Intelligence. In this chapter, getting comfortable with the basics, understanding the business intelligence value proposition, seeing where BI came from and where it's going, previewing what works and what doesn't. From the CEO down to the lowest levels of any organization, every minute of the day, someone is making a decision that has an impact on the company's performance. Sometimes a decision is at a very high strategic level that affects the fate of the entire organization, and other times a decision might be narrowly defined and tactical, affecting a single person or department for a very short window of time. When taken together, these decisions make up a significant portion of the day in the life at any given organization, be it a company, governmental agency, or non-profit organization. In spite of the dramatic advances in technology and tools that aid in the decision-making process, however, Far too many people still make decisions the old-fashioned way, by blending a gumbo of tidbits of current information, best recollections of the past, advice from others, and a whole lot of gut instinct, and then assessing which path is likely to give the best possible outcome for the decision at hand. Decisions drive organizations. Making a good decision at a critical moment may lead to a more efficient operation, a more profitable enterprise, or perhaps a more satisfied customer. So it only makes sense that the companies that make better decisions are more successful in the long run. That's where business intelligence comes in. Business intelligence is defined in various ways. Our chosen definition is in the next section. For the moment, though, think of BI as using data about yesterday and today to make better decisions about tomorrow. Whether it's selecting the right criteria to judge success, locating and transforming the appropriate data to draw conclusions, or arranging information in a manner that best shines a light on the way forward, business intelligence makes companies smarter. It allows managers to see things more clearly and permits them a glimpse of how things will likely be in the future. Tip: the name game. Business intelligence is commonly known simply as BI. That's pronounced B-I, not buy. We'll go back and forth in this book between the full phrase and the abbreviated name. And if you're wondering why there aren't any periods in the acronym, as in B.I., it's because of a custom in the technology world. Once a concept has gained widespread acceptance and becomes known by its initials alone, the punctuation disappears. Extracting periods from techno-acronyms, CPU, GB, ICBM, whatever, is the mission of the International Punctuation Review Board, a group of Internet billionaires, former ambassadors, and high school football coaches who meet in Geneva every 4 years to review which new buzzwords qualify for punctuation-free status. Just kidding. Everything about acronyms in the previous paragraph is true, but the board doesn't really exist. Yet. Limited resources, limitless decisions. All organizations, whether business, government, charitable, or otherwise, have limited resources for performing their missions. Companies are forced to make do with what they have, all the time. You can't put a Nobel laureate in every position, and you can't pour unlimited dollars into an endless quest to make all your factories and offices more efficient. Warning: the most precious resource is time. The marketplace is in constant motion, and companies must not only move correctly, they must move quickly. Otherwise, competitors will fill any available vacuum in the market, resources will get used up, and your organization will inexorably wither away. Business intelligence's entire raison d'etre, that's French for shade of lipstick, just kidding, is as an ally at those inflection points throughout the life of a business where a decision is required. Business intelligence is a flexible resource that can work at various organizational levels and various times. These, for example. A sales manager is deliberating over which prospects the account executive should focus on in the final quarter profitability push. An automotive firm's research and development team is deciding which features to include in next year's sedan. The fraud department is deciding on changes to customer loyalty programs that will root out fraud without sacrificing customer satisfaction. The decisions can be strategic or tactical, grand or humble, but they represent two roads diverging in a yellow wood. Considered in the aggregate, the roads taken and those not taken represent the separation between successful and unsuccessful companies. Better decisions, with the help of business intelligence, can make all the difference. Business intelligence defined. No CIA experience required. So what the heck is business intelligence anyway? In essence, BI is any activity, tool, or process used to obtain the best information to support the process of making decisions. Right now, you're scratching your head and wondering, does he really mean anything? And the answer is a qualified yes. Whether you're calling the psychic hotline, using an army of consultants, or have banks of computers churning your data, if it helps you get a better handle on your company's current situation and provides insight into what to do in the future, it's BI. But by popular demand, and so I don't have to write a chapter called Using a Magic 8-Ball for Improved Portfolio Risk Management, we'll narrow the definition just a tad. For our purposes, BI revolves around putting computing power, highly specialized software in concert with other more common technology assets, to work to help make the best choices for your organization. Okay, there's a little more to it than that. But before digging into specifics, it is, as the Magic 8-Ball would say, decidedly so that you should understand some context about how BI is defined and who's defining it. The more you learn about BI, the more likely you are to encounter a wide swath of definitions for the term. Sometimes it seems as if nearly every new article on BI characterizes it in a new way. BI invariably gets unceremoniously tagged with an array of newfangled labels and connected with a whole catalog of different technologies that can leave your head spinning as you try to peg which elements are included in the definition and which ones aren't. And it's no mystery why there is no single definition for business intelligence. Vendors and consultants define the phrase in a way that conveniently skews toward their particular specialty. Academics, authors, and consultants also have their own pet definitions of BI. One may barely resemble the next. Don't get knocked off course. Regardless of who's saying it, when you put BI on a stove, turn the heat up, and boil it down to its constituent elements, you'll always find the same thing left in the pot: technology and tools to support decision-making. Remember, for the purposes of this book, and for your needs beyond this book, you'll only need to know this one single definition. Drum roll, please. Business intelligence is essentially timely, accurate, high-value, and actionable business insights and the work processes and technologies used to obtain them. Warning: if you look up actionable in the dictionary, you see it actually means any deed that might cause you to get sued. Here action refers to legal action. But feel free to use this specialized meaning of actionable with BI-savvy pros, such as techies and finance folks. Just don't use it when you're talking to an attorney, unless, of course, you're a partner in the same law firm. Contrary to what you may have been led to believe, there are no stone tablets with a single list of processes, protocols, or hardware-software combinations that define BI once and for all. In technology, those things are always evolving, and they are often different from company to company and different depending on the situation. Today's common definitions of the essential BI components are markedly different from the definitions bandied about in the 1990s. What remains constant, though, is that BI's purpose has always been to produce timely, accurate, high-value, and actionable information. Pouring out the alphabet soup. If you think BI's definition sounds a little familiar, it's not just a case of déjà vu. That's French for "I've had this head cold before." The concept of BI is not necessarily new. Companies have been trying for years to press their systems into service to produce better strategic insights. You might have come across some of these acronyms in your past. DSS. Once upon a time, a company was in need of systems that would support the decision-making process. The IT crew got together and came up with decision support systems. Pretty clever, huh? DSSs gained popularity by helping managers apply computing power and historical data to structured problems such as production scheduling and other types of recurring planning decisions. EIS. The corner office gang took notice of the success of DSS and decided that, just like executive bathrooms, they deserved their own decision management tools, and Executive Information Systems, EIS, technology was born. MIS, MDS, AIS, and so on. Plenty of other BI predecessors came and went. management information systems, management decision systems, analysis information systems, and so on, and each one laid claim to some new style of supporting companies' decision-making processes. Business intelligence has a big family tree. All of these technologies contributed to today's incarnation of BI, some more than others, and some of the disciplines and movements that warranted their own acronyms still exist today, in some cases calling themselves Next Generation BI, or at the very least, extenders of BI. There are several forces driving the multiple incarnations of what is basically the same idea. First, there is a motivation among vendors and IT consultants to mint a phrase that catches on in the technology world. Doing so helps set them apart from the competition, as if they've invented a better mousetrap. Perhaps more important, and more cynical, is the tendency within the technology world to sheepishly leave behind heavily hyped initiatives that don't quite live up to the buzz in their initial go-around. For example, earlier generations of DSS and EIS often suffered from the same shortcomings that affected all types of technology implementations in that era. The unknowns of cutting-edge technology, the unpredictability of organizational politics, and other deficiencies sabotaged early implementations. The ideas were sound, but the failures gave the specific concept being adopted a bad reputation. But the underlying concepts would always survive. After all, who could argue with the value of using high-power computing to support decisions? What executive wouldn't want to put IT resources to work delivering valuable information to the office every day? And so, as memories of past failures faded, new ways of thinking evolved, and more advanced technologies came along. Those same vendors and consultants would leave behind the now tainted label, coin a new term, and begin selling the new and improved solution. A better definition is in sight. It might be useful to take a quick second look at the term insight. Insights are the ultimate destination for the many roads that all those authors, consultants, vendors, and various other nerds will send you down when you embark on a BI project. Insight does a good job of encompassing the deliverables that flow forth from a good BI project. Imagine those as the glowing light bulbs that appear over your head about some aspect of your business. Insights are a new way to look at things, a moment of clarity, a way forward. When BI delivers a business insight, you've divined some fact or hypothesis about some aspect of your organization that was previously hidden or unknowable. Insights is actually a more intelligent word than, well, intelligence. After all, intelligence can mean so many different things depending on the context. So the next time you think about BI and an instant of confusion obscures its definition from you, it helps to mentally substitute the word insights for intelligence and just attach BI to the phrase business insights. Warning. But the good news is, with the kind of BI we're describing here, you don't have to play James Bond to improve your market position. With the real business intelligence, there are no double agents, no foreign sports cars, and the word detonator will never be relevant, unless your project goes very poorly. BI is kind of like spying, but only if spying on yourself counts. Tip: if your BI project goes well, you can ask your boss to start calling you Q. BI's Big Four. So what do we mean when we talk about insights that are accurate, valuable, timely, and benignly actionable? As you dig into BI's main characteristics, you'll see why each is so important to the process. In fact, if the knowledge gained from BI fails to meet any of the four criteria, the process has failed. Accurate answers. When decisions are taken in your organization, they are inevitably informed with conclusions drawn by a range of experts using important pieces of information about the enterprise's current state. For BI to be of any value in the decision-making process, It must correctly reflect the objective reality of the organization and adhere to rigid standards of correctness. As such, the first hallmark of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?